Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. If it was me, I'd have fake cried and begged for my job, said I needed it to support my sick mother or something. Hopefully, it'd give Karen a wake-up call that her actions have consequences. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with a turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. No, Karen, I can't sell you this animal. So just before Christmas, I got 2 little rats who are my absolute life. I spend more money on treats and toys for them than I do food for myself. They came from my local pet store, and it also happens to be where I go for most of their stuff. I made an effort to learn as much as I could about my animals before I got them and carried this on after getting them. At this point, I know how to handle and deal with them more than the staff there do. They only get basic handling training. It's not their fault. So sometimes the staff ask me questions that can help them in the future. One day, I went in to grab some food and bedding for my 2 boys when I was pulled into the tank of rats with 2 boys in it. I handled the boys already when they were little before the lockdown. That was about 8 weeks prior. Asked about the selling policies because they were getting too big for the tank, and I felt really bad for them. After some time talking to the staff, the manager eventually let me adopt them because they trusted I could give them a loving home and the attention that they just won't get in the store. They're the most spoiled rats ever, I swear. Since then, I've been in a lot buying stuff and talking to the staff and getting to know them well. One of the managers came up to me asking if I'd be able to have a look at a couple of the girls they've had as well since before the lockdown, because one of them seems aggressive. They don't know how to handle her or what to do. I take a look and quickly deduct that she's almost completely blind. I offer to come in and handle her whenever I can, and they agree that'd be a good idea. I'd like to add that store policy restricts employees from handling animals outside of selling and feeding, which they hate as much as I do. After handling her and her sister for a while, I stood near the checkout chatting to the staff member on duty, we'll call him Jay, for a while. In this time, maybe 5 minutes, there was a woman, we'll call her Karen, with a young boy, maybe 6, who started scoffing at us. I was wearing black jeans and a Rick and Morty print tee. Don't judge me, it was cheap. And the staff uniform is black cargo pants and a bright-colored polo, usually green or blue for all staff members. Jay and I share a glance that says, "Here we go." Jay, in the best customer service voice I've heard, "Hi, how can I help you today?" Karen, "My son wants a rabbit. He can't go and see them. Move the barricade so he can pick one." Jay, "I'm sorry, but I'll have to ask that you wait for my colleague to come back from her break so she can help you." Karen scoffs, "You can help us, can't you?" Jay, "I apologize, but someone has to be on the register at all times. I can't leave. My colleague will be back in a minute to help you." Karen, gesturing to me, "Well, why can't she help me?" Me, "Oh, I'm sorry, Karen, "Don't talk back to me. I saw you in there alone, so you can help us." Jay, "Ma'am, she doesn't work here." Karen, "Then why can she go in and I can't?" Jay, "She's a trusted customer who knows how to handle our rats. She was simply looking in on them as one of them seemed to be blind. She confirmed that for us." Karen, "This is disgusting. Why are you allowing one customer in but not me? My poor baby just wants a rabbit to play with. Is that too hard for you to understand?" Jay, "As I said, my colleague will be back soon to help you. Feel free to look from the barrier." Karen, looking at me, "You obviously work here, so why else would you be talking to the staff? Now move the barrier so my son can look at the bunnies." Me, "Seriously, I don't work here. I was just checking the rats." Karen, "Then fine, check the rabbit so my son can pick one." Me, "I can't do that. It's not my job and I know nothing about them." Karen, "I want to see you fired. Refusing to help a customer. This is unacceptable." About now is when the other employee, we'll call her Tara, comes out. She was wearing a different color to Jay. Tara, "Is everything okay here, Jay?" Karen, "Are you the manager? I want this girl fired. She refused to help me." Tara, "She doesn't work here, miss. Is there something I can help you with?" Karen, "My son wants to buy a rabbit, but this girl refused to help. What kind of store is this anyway?" I gesture bye to Tara and Jay while she's on her rant and start heading to the door. Karen, "Where do you think you're going? I want to see you fired. Your attitude towards me was very rude." Tara looks at me and we both sigh. Tara. OP, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to let you go. We don't tolerate rude behavior towards customers. Me, realizing this is the only way it'll be sorted. What? No, I love working here. Tara. I'm sorry, but this was unacceptable. You've been a good employee until now. Thank you for working with us. I pretend to look sad and walk out. A couple of days later, I went back in and Jay was on the tills again. I asked him what happened after I left, and he told me that she was unimpressed with how we treated her, so she will find somewhere else to get her son a rabbit. The store holds down the right to decide if someone can purchase an animal, and I doubt they would have let her anyway. Oh my God, I hope they never get a rabbit. They're extremely delicate animals compared to cats or dogs. These sorts of entitled people can destroy a sweet little bunny. Getting a rabbit for her son to play with sounds like she neither knows nor cares anything about the care of large rodents like rabbits. And our second story. That moment when you fantasize punching a customer and your boss in the face. I had a real pain in the butt customer come in today. We're installing his TV system this Friday, and for months, especially since he signed up last week, he's been coming in 3 times a week to ask me more questions. That alone is annoying, but whatever. Today he came in and said that he wanted to build a custom shelf for one of his receivers and wanted to look at the exact receiver we'd be installing. I showed him the store display and explained that it would look exactly like that one. Customer. Can you give me the unit now so I can build the shelf? Me. I'm sorry, but that isn't possible. The product has not been purchased, is not registered to an account, and is not activated. Customer. You don't look very sorry. I explained that I cannot allow unpurchased, unactivated, unattached equipment out of the store. I just can't. He told me he'd give me $100. No. One of the owners was a few feet away helping another customer and butted in. He said that we would be happy to give him a receiver. Wasn't a big deal. I pasted a small smile on my face, shot daggers out of my eyes, folded my hands primly in front of me, and walked silently to the back room. I walked back to the showroom and asked the customer to have a seat while I write down the receiver numbers, serial numbers, etc. Customer. Oh, I didn't realize you were going to have to write down any information. Me. Look, I'll be really straight with you. The main reason why I said no to giving this to you, besides it being unpaid and unregistered, is that your equipment is still on order and I don't have any more stock currently. I stole this off another customer's order and now I'll have to rewrite their paperwork as well. The customer shrugged and said, that's not a big deal. He took his prize and walked out of the store without a care in the world. My boss came back over to me after finishing with his customer and apologized for butting in. I told him it was fine. His name's on the building and it's within his right to make that decision. But we didn't have a receiver to give that customer and I had to take it off someone else's order. The blood drained from his face and he was suddenly very, very contrite and started to apologize profusely. The co-owner walked in shortly afterwards and we updated him on what happened earlier. He was pissed. However, he recognizes that his partner had the right to make the decision. Serenity now! The other potential problem is going to be when he returns the receiver full of sawdust and scratched up after leaving it overnight in his garage. He'll then proceed to argue that it's not scratched that badly, it's still totally like new, and that he shouldn't have to pay to replace it. And our last story. The power-tripping HOA couldn't win. My first home was in a neighborhood that had an HOA. All was great at first. At the time, I held a position with a medical supply company. At this company, the techs had a company van we could take home. This was mostly due to us sharing an on-call rotation that we had every 7 weeks. I was warned prior to purchase that company vehicles being parked outside on a permanent basis, words from the indentures, would be a violation. I explained this to one of the board members and he said, it clearly says permanently in the paperwork. No one will give you trouble over that. This was fine for about 1.5 years. Then one Saturday, a female board member came to the door to complain. I explained everything up until that point. She wasn't having it and kept interjecting with the words, but the indentures clearly state. As this went on, I started interrupting her with, on a permanent basis. After a bit, I said that the conversation wasn't going anywhere and my beer inside was getting warm. I closed the door while saying bye. She continued to knock and ring the bell for 10 or so minutes. I debated calling the police, but I just turned off the bell and turned the TV up. I left that position for a higher paying one. The van was not an issue anymore, but that incident, plus a bunch of other smaller ones, left a bad taste with me. I started searching around for newer homes. I found some lots being built on the land that had a home on it. The old home was knocked down due to the amount of money it would cost to repair. We had a growing family, and it made sense to upgrade. History has a weird way of repeating itself. The company I'd moved to gave me a vehicle. Thankfully, no on-call schedule, and since I was not in an HOA, I could leave it in my driveway without issue. Not so fast. The previous home on our lot belonged to an HOA. However, the new homes built on this land were not included. There was a guy up the street who was seething with anger over my van. He was on the board and complained about it during one of their meetings. The other members said we weren't part of their association, nothing could be done. Captain A-Hole decided he would call the police over it the next day. The police arrived while I was out and about. My wife was home on maternity leave and sleeping upstairs, so she heard no knocking or anything. The officer that showed up was briefed over his radio that nothing could be done. One of my amazing neighbors and board member called the station and explained the situation. Officer left, and this dude went into rage mode. He screamed and yelled all the way back to his house. I got a text from one of my buddies that's an officer with the same department that detailed everything. Hearing about one of these power-tripping effers not getting their way makes me smile to this day. At the end of the day, run away from HOAs or condo associations as you don't have 100% ownership interest in your property. They can legally control a lot of what you want to do with your home, and it can be a huge problem. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.